Hi there, my name is Andy Couturier, and I'm the director of The Opening, a Center for Courses in Writing. And among many of the things that we do here is we help people finish books. And I thought I'd introduce you to some of the real variety of different books that have been completed in our courses, both in person and online. So this is going to go by a little bit quickly, but just so you can get a flavor of a small percentage of the books that we've helped people finish with our groups. This is called Riding Fury Home by Hannah Wilson. It's a memoir, a coming out story, but it's also a story about Hannah and her mother, and her mother's coming out story. Fantastic book. This is a book by Katrina Alcorn. It's called Maxed Out, American Moms on the Brink, and it's about how so many mothers and parents are highly taxed and are just at the end of their rope, and what can be done about it. This is a book by Gus Bagakis, Seeing Through the System. And it's really about class analysis and how we miss class, social class, in our society. And it's a simple introduction to some basic ideas that I think are very important for understanding the economy we're in. Totally different book. This is called Midori House. Midori is green in Japanese, and house is the German pronunciation. So Chie Kawahara is a software designer, but she's also an author, and her book is about how she redesigned her house to make it ecologically sustainable and reduced energy usage by 80%. So it's a relatively factual based book, nonfiction, and I helped her finish it with our group. Once again, different. This is a book of poetry, experimental poetry, called If by Autumn Lynn, and it's really fun collection of trickster language and playfulness, and you can see that it is not necessarily industrially made, but we help people write all kinds of books. No kind of book is better or worse in our groups. We really don't like hierarchy, and because it really shuts down creativity. This is called An Elixir of Ambience. This is hand-bound. I don't know if you can see this. It's by Patty Montmorency, and it has beautiful photographs and poetic prose writing about a safari she took in southern Africa. It's really luscious and rich. This is a book called Dear Jeff, and it's a father's letters to his son. Carrie adopted two African-American kids. Carrie's a white guy, a civil rights lawyer, and Jeff was troubled. And after Jeff tragically passed away, Carrie composed a series of letters to him trying to explain his own view, and it's a great book about race relations in this country. Again, different. This is called The Lion and the Rock. This is a graphic novel that was Kathleen Kralowich wrote, and so she's obviously an illustrator as well, but I helped her do the text in her book. This is a book of poetry published by Bruce Fessenden, like Autumn's book, also poetry, but published by Goldstone Press. Beautiful book about the natural world, about grief and suffering and the transcendence through it. The Memoir of a Slightly Mad Mystic, How Dying Saved My Life by Lawrence Furman. Lawrence had several near-death experiences, and he wrote about what that taught him about being alive and about dying. And I was very, very proud to work on this book with Lawrence. Actually, since the book got published, Lawrence actually did pass away from cancer, so I was able to help him finish his book before that happened, and now it's here for all of us. And I want to encourage you, if you're watching this, whatever you're writing about, to try to get your book out, and so it can survive you and give a message to other generations. This is called Facing Climate Change. Now, this is a really interesting book. Jeff Keel is a climate scientist. He does PhD work. He's a university professor, but he's also a psychoanalyst, a Jungian psychoanalyst, and he took that up to try to understand what about us, what about our consciousness makes us destroy the environment. So it's this great hybrid using everyday language and beautifully published. A few more. This is called Exploding the Phone by Phil Lapsley. Phil came to me and someone had told him that nobody would read a book like this, and he wasn't sure whether he was going to be able to do it. But through our courses and through working with me, he not only finished it, it's a history of technology book about the early phone hackers in the 70s and late 60s. He got a big contract with a large New York publisher. Not that that's any better, but I'm just saying that this is also the kind of books that we help with. And it's got reviewed widely in Wall Street Journal and New York Times. And it even has a foreword by Steve Wozniak. And we also have The Year of the Mite by Jane Ishka. This is it's an interesting hybrid book. So Jane is a scientist. She looks into mites, bird mites actually, and their biology. But she also, it's a personal story because she unfortunately got an infestation of bird mites herself, and so couldn't get rid of it. And so it's about the story of her relationship and her family and them dealing with it. Okay, so you can get a sense just from that taste, and that's not all the books that we finished, how many different kinds of books we help people write at the opening. And when you join a group, you're going to meet a lot of different people who have different projects, and by cross-pollinating, cross-fertilizing, getting the support of other people who are also working on a book and using the right philosophy, getting practical help, you can also finish your book too. So I hope you'll check out our courses. We have online courses as well as courses in the Bay Area and the Santa Cruz area, and join us because I do love doing this work and I love helping people finish their books. I hope I can work with you soon.